4 on the year. She leads the entire country as a freshman. Already that 122 home runs that they've hit in only 32 games. They are chasing their D1 record that they set in 2021 with 161 home runs. And tonight, I mean, you might say that they might break the SEC record set by Florida in 2011 with 124 home runs. They're just a few away.
I mean, they could do that in one game easily, hit a couple, hit 2 or 3. So meanwhile, for Ole Miss, it has been a harrowing stretch to begin SEC play. Their first 3 opponents, 3 top 5 ranked teams in Alabama, Texas, and Oklahoma. It's been very challenging.
Well, you see the ups and downs going against these teams, either a run roll or a really close game, a 1-run game, a 2-run game. I mean, they're playing some of these teams tight. Ole Miss just needs to find a way to keep it tight and then get the dub and see it through.
You know, it was a low-scoring, tight game yesterday until the Ole Miss offense just exploded late in the game. And so it's always a challenge when you face this. OU is tasked with that today. Boyer, the senior from Harrisburg, South Dakota, the first-year Rebel, has pitched to a 2.83 ERA to this point.
Yeah, pitched against Alabama. She pitched against Texas. This is going to be the first time that we've seen her against OU. And she did also pitch the midweek game against Louisiana Tech. Went the distance in that game, pitched all 7 and threw well.
For Patty Gasso's Sooners, it's Cassidy Pickering, Kendall Wells, Ella Parker at the top of their order. You mentioned it. Wells went yard twice yesterday in the late innings. 24 on the season. It's why eye-popping numbers to this point. And so away we go on a very nice, sunny, warm Sunday here in Oxford. Temperatures in the low 80s. There's Pickering hitting close to 500. The All-American and 3-year starter is one of many Sooners with astounding batting averages to this point. Feels like everybody's hitting over 400 to this point.
Almost everybody is,
Yep.
except for one hitter, Sydney Barker, hitting 333, which is still a solid average, but everybody hitting over 400, maybe even close to 500 or over it.
They've won 19 in a row, 30-2. To start this season. And looking to take the first 2 games of this series against Ole Miss. That 2-1 pitch from Boyer is low. So Boyer, the first-year Rebel, leads this team, Amanda, in just about everything. Innings pitched, ERA, strikeouts. And she's had some fine moments against some of those quality SEC teams to start her season. But Pickering works the walk to get this one started. And it is hard to highlight anybody but Wells in Gasso's lineup card these days. A couple of homers yesterday. So you start doing the recent math. Her last 6 hits, 5 of them are homers. It's wild to think that.
Well, you know, she went through a home run slump where she didn't hit one
Yeah.
for 3 games going into that Auburn series, and then broke out of it with 2 in 1 inning. And then 2 in the game yesterday. So on a little bit of a home run streak, and every time she steps up to the plate, she is liable to go yard, and not just ones that barely get over the fence. We're talking 250, 275, even over 300 feet.
This freshman from Bogart, Georgia, fouls that one back. I mean, she's not just one of the best rookie hitters in the nation. You can just put her up there in any category. One of the best hitters in America. That's wild. You know, her last 11 plate appearances, 5 home runs. She must protect now with 2 strikes. And that one misses low and away.
On a couple of different counts that she hit one yesterday. One was a hitter's count, and one was a pitcher's count. Even a 1-2 count was her first one of the game, where she battled off several pitches to extend her AB to get her first one of the game.
Count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Boyer last year was at West Texas A&M. That's a Division II college. She's from South Dakota. Jamie Traxel, many years coaching in the Dakotas. There was some familiarity there. And so they signed her out of the portal this offseason. With that pitch in the dirt, Pickering moves to second.
Just trying to work from ahead with Kendall Wells and a pitcher's count, trying to see if she would chase. She did not, but Jamie Traxel gonna go for a challenge here, potentially with the runner at first base leaving early, which we have seen past couple of weekends in SEC play a lot.
The ruling on the field is a runner at first base left on time. This ruling is being challenged by Ole Miss.
In fact, Kevin, the past couple of SEC games, we've seen Oklahoma get caught for leaving early. That looks to be right on time. And you cannot leave the bag until the ball is out of the pitcher's hand, and Pickering looks to be just right on time with her lead there. But what you're seeing is a lot of these teams in the dugout, they have either a coach or a few players just looking at the runner on base, just waiting for her to leave early. Eyes on that runner at first or second, or I mean even third, which would be really wild, but they communicate to the coach and then she challenges it. So you're seeing this all throughout every team in the SEC.
And usually we have seen the ones in the past, they're fairly obvious. That one, to your point, it does look as if Pickering, she goes after.
Review, the ruling on the field has been confirmed. The runner is safe.
That's a tough challenge to lose this early in the game, too. You have to be, in my opinion, 1,000% sure that she left early to tell your coach, or I don't know, maybe Jamie Traxel thought that she saw it on her own over there in the Ole Miss dugout, but there's a coach, there's a group of people looking for that in-game, in every game that you watch.
And we just started. You get 2 challenges, so she's down to 1. That's it. Payoff pitch, and Wells did offer. And instead, the throw down to third is late.
And because it was a drop third strike, Kendall Wells is going to get to stay at first base. So Ole Miss on that strikeout, not going to get any out. Clear check swing, got her to chase out of the zone. Didn't look like Bunker tagged her, but did not make the throw at first. Got distracted with Pickering going over to third, and then not getting any out on that at all.
All right, that is surprising that Bunker, the catcher, did not throw down to first base. Instead of trying to get what you would think is a guaranteed out there at first, instead threw over to third.
Is being challenged by Ole Miss.
So they're going to be looking for, I think, if Bunker tagged Kendall Wells after she left the batter's box. And that's something that I did not see live, because I was watching Pickering go from second to third. And honestly, I think I was just shocked, too, that Kendall Wells, the home run hitter, chased out of the zone like that. I'm thinking, Emily Boyer, you go, girl. Like, got a strikeout of the best home run hitter in the entire country. So we'll see if Bunker did indeed tag her.
It's obvious, no tag.
Maybe they're checking to see if the ball actually hit the dirt as well for the drop third strike, if it was an actual drop third strike, or if Bunker picked it actually when that pitch was in the air. That's going to be tricky to see, I think, on that replay.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So this is where we see, we haven't had an out recorded yet, and we've had a couple of challenges here from the Ole Miss side. The first was unsuccessful, and we're about to get a ruling here very shortly as to whether or not that one was handled cleanly by the catcher.
I thought it hit the ground and then went into her glove. And just looking at the replay again that they're showing on the scoreboard here in the stadium, looking at that again, I think Jamie Traxel might lose another challenge. Yeah, that hits the ground and then goes into her glove. Yeah.
Well, the other oddity was Bunker not throwing down to first.
After further review, the ruling on the field has changed. The batter runner is out on a caught third strike. All other play results as is. The runner stays at third base.
So it is successful, the challenge. So that is indeed going to be a strikeout of Wells. Pickering stays at third.
It's a huge strikeout. A good base running by Pickering to see that ball in the dirt and take advantage of getting an extra 60 feet.
And so before Ella Parker hits, Jamie Traxel is going to have a conversation with Todd Foy. He's our home plate umpire. Smokey Edge is at first. Jim Cooper's at third.
I mean, that is a risky move to use both of your challenges, one out and into the ball game in the top of the first inning. Something you just do not see very often.
No.
But clearly Jamie Traxel really confident about that strikeout to Wells there, with Bunker being able to handle that ball in the dirt.
What do we think this conversation is about? This is Traxel, the 60-year boss from Duluth, Minnesota. Last year guided the program to its first ever Women's College World Series.
I'm a little stumped what she was going back to ask him about again. I'd love to know.
It's a unique start to this game, but no doubt about it. We've had a couple of challenges in the top half of the first. One was successful. That's why there is an out. Got a very dangerous bat, and Ella Parker up, who's back in the 3-hole. Boyer is trying to stay sharp, and she finds the zone that time. Parker's got the 15 homers, the junior from Ladera Heights, California. Infield is pushed in against the 2-time All-American. So without that challenge, Ole Miss would not have the out recorded in this first inning. That one misses away. But Oklahoma still has Pickering over at third. They're trying to strike first in this game. In the opening inning. Check swing, that one was off the outer edge, and Parker did not offer.
Check swing, got one from Wells with the strikeout, and then here from Parker, where easily could have gone the other way, but one of those 50-50s, sometimes you'll get the calls, sometimes you're not going to.
Favorable count this time for Parker, and so that is another first inning walk. So we've got walk, strikeout, walk. So what do you expect from Boyer today?
Now you're see her throw with good velocity in the upper 60s. She is best when her drop ball is on and she's living down in the zone. Although she can't go up with her rise ball that she'll show, she can throw a little bit of everything. Mixes speeds very well. You can tell already early in this game, trying to be very careful down in the zone and work the corners, almost trying to be too perfect, leading to additional balls with these 2 walks.
Isabella Emmerling with another start here in consecutive games. She's over at first base today, hitting cleanup this afternoon for the Sooners. So Patty Gasso, she has got a lineup this year with a number of younger players that have all performed well. 32 years as the head coach for Gasso. There is an out that will bring home the run. So Pickering scores. That's the second out. Parker into scoring position. OU up 1-0 in this first inning.
And Emily Boyer made a nice pitch to Emmerling to get some weak contact to first base. The tough part is the extra base that Pickering took and that drop third strike shenanigan. She was there with a walk. So when you give Oklahoma these additional chances and the free passes, this is their MO. This is their offense. They not only can just score via the long ball, they can score in a lot of different ways. And when you open the door a little bit for them, they always walk through it.
One of the most explosive offenses in the nation. And you're right, they can come at you in waves. Garcia, the sophomore from Chandler, Arizona.
Well, and if Boyer is going to get that pitch to these left-handed power hitters in Oklahoma's lineup, she should stay there. It looks like a drop ball in the outside corner. She's getting about a ball off the plate, throwing it at a good height. Continue to work these corners against these veteran hitters who have such a good eye.
Here we go with a 1-2. That time Garcia checked the swing.
I think it's worth noting that that score last night ended up being a 10-0 OU run rule in 6 innings, but it was a close game through the first 4 innings. A 1-run game, 2-0 lead that Oklahoma had through 4, busted it open late.
Boyer keeping it away from Garcia.
You can just tell she's just trying to be so careful. A veteran pitcher, she pitched a ton at West Texas A&M. She's thrown a lot for Ole Miss this season. You can tell they're really relying on her this year.
Count's gone full to Garcia. She swings and hammers it. This one's going to the gap in left center, and it's gone. 16th homer of the year for Garcia. It's a 3-run first for the Sooners, and they're back at it again with the long ball.
Garcia got to hang out over that outside corner, knowing that Boyer was getting that call earlier in the count. So with 2 strikes, she's going to protect, and she's going to be in hit mode. Garcia is not a player that walks very much. So in a full count, she's going to be looking to drive the ball, and that she did to left center field, line drive right under the scoreboard, and Oklahoma quickly adds a couple of runs.
The numbers are eye-popping. Kai Miner bats for the first time here in the 6-hole today, the center fielder. 123 homers as a team, and so they are now 1 shy of tying the SEC single-season record. And is it going to be tied right here? Miner, there it goes! Goodbye! It's a sledgehammer here in the first inning for the Sooners.
Oklahoma going back-to-back. That pitch was about bell tie, and Kai Miner, the freshman, going to be able to elevate that. That one more of a towering fly ball that hits the light pole. Garcia's was more of that laser, and they tie Florida's record set in 2011 with that 124 home runs. Mind you, let's remember, we're only 32 games into the season. That record that Florida set in 2011 was for the entire season that year.
It's astounding. You know, we said it just a few moments ago. Don't go anywhere, folks. They might break this record today. They've just tied it before the 3rd out has been recorded in this opening frame.
Done such a good job with these home runs too that they've hit yesterday and today, going the opposite way. The Oklahoma, their offense is not just about pull side power, whether they're a righty or a lefty. They do such a good job at using the middle of the field and going the opposite way. A couple of opposite field home runs that we've seen from Garcia and Miner.
A 4 spot in the opening inning for Patty Gasso's team that's won 19 straight games. And they have the early advantage today in Oxford. So Nancy Evans, she is the pitching coach for Oklahoma. And they're trying to just get Boyer through this opening frame. It's been a strange first inning. A couple of walks, some choppy moments. We had those 2 challenges and replay reviews, a pair of homers. It's not your typical 1-2-3 first inning. This is Ailana Agbayani.
Well, and it's just tough, I feel, for Boyer because she's thrown some really good pitches, and you've seen the check swings that Oklahoma has had against her here in the first inning. A little of unsureness, but then how quickly Oklahoma can make adjustments and just get on top of you and score.
It is a challenge. You know, Boyer has had several really fine outings of late. Went the distance in the win on Wednesday against Louisiana Tech. She had a really strong outing against Alabama a couple of weeks back. So she's had really fine moments, the senior from South Dakota. But Oklahoma has just jumped on her in this first inning.
Yeah, when you're pitching against them, they make you feel like you have to be perfect. Each pitch, every time that you get the grip on the ball and visualize your pitch and go into it, they make you feel like you have to visualize the most perfect pitch in order to get them out.
Agbayani draws that walk. Again, 124 homers. As you mentioned, we've only played half the season. You know, even Patty Gasso, when you bring it up to her and this staff, they're even a little starstruck by that number. I mean, it is just elite power and physical training that really sets this bunch apart from teams in the past, whether at Oklahoma or the historically good ones, like we just referenced, Florida from a decade and a half ago. It's clear to say, Amanda, this has just been their power surge to begin the season. It's been one of the top stories around the country. This is Sydney Barker, the 8-hole hitter. So Boyer's trying to put away the side here. Here comes the 0-2. It's off the outer edge.
I mean, it just happened so quickly with them. We saw them against Auburn on Sunday, and just runs pile up so quickly because of their home run power and how quickly they can score.
Wave at a miss. Good pitch that time. In on the hands of Barker. A pair of homers for the Sooners in this first inning, up 4-zip. Fine outing in the circle for Audrey Lowry, the sophomore from Pittsboro, Indiana, yesterday. Picked up her 14th win, and second most in the SEC at this point in the season. And so in the circle today is the ex-Rebel. That is Miley Wachenio. Last year was one of the studs that helped guide this Ole Miss program to Oklahoma City in the offseason. Changed teams and is now one of the productive arms for Oklahoma.
You know that this is a massive moment for Miley Wachenio, stepping onto this field again in a different uniform.
A very unique situation facing her old team. And so she faces Kennedy Bunker, Mackenzie Pickens, Percy Yamas. That's 1, 2, 3 in the Ole Miss order. Bunker has hit leadoff the last couple of games for Ole Miss. Little change from where she is in the middle of the order. Just a really, really skilled right-hander from California, Wachenio is.
She started her freshman year on a really hot start for Ole Miss, and then as SEC play went on, got hit a little bit harder. They started to rely a little bit more on Aaliyah Binford, Brianna Lopez down the stretch in the postseason, but you could tell she had really good stuff.
Bunker hits this one hard. There it goes off the base of the wall. Parker fields it very quick, and so that holds Bunker to a single. Well, after getting after allowing 4 runs in the top half of the first, best way to respond. This is Jamie Traxel's lineup card. Yamas, their most productive hitter, right in the middle of that order. She had 2 of the 3 hits in yesterday's game. That was all Ole Miss had to show for, just 3 in that 10-0 loss. And Bunker barreled that one up. Mackenzie Pickens takes that for a strike.
Good job of getting to that rise ball. They're going to see that a lot from Wachenio. It's arguably her best pitch, that she likes to live more up in the zone with her rise ball, has good movement, and she wants Ole Miss to chase that pitch and move up with her. Also, we'll mix in a changeup like she just dropped in there. Clearly, the fans did not like that.
We've got a full house today, yes, by the way. And it's not just the Ole Miss faithful. There is quite an Oklahoma contingent, as there typically is when the Sooners are on the road. 0-2 coming. A little bit low and away. So it's been an interesting, feisty first inning at this really fine Ole Miss softball stadium, just its second season. This 2-year-old park. Pickens, the sophomore from Georgia, loops that one into center. Miner has it lined up.
And so Miley will throw her rise ball the most in terms of percentage that she uses a pitch. Her go-to pitch is going to be her rise ball. She uses her screwball as well. Screw and rise are very similar with how it's thrown. So rise ball, screwball combination, and has a great changeup when it's on. Can be one of her best swing and miss pitches at about a 40% whiff rate with her changeup.
And she very much has the swing and miss stuff. 50-plus strikeouts in a little less than 40 innings this season. You know, last year, the numbers were really impressive. She's facing Llamas. That's one of the returning starters and an ex-teammate of hers. And so Wells is going to go talk to Huachenio after the first two have missed outside of the zone.
And remember, Patty Gasso told us that Kendall Wells and Miley Huachenio are very close friends. They really bonded early on, and Miley Huachenio transferring over and Wells being new. Wells, a very outgoing personality, kind of pulls that out of Huachenio. Had 16 wins last season at Ole Miss through 6 shutouts. Threw a lot for them.
That strikeout total, third most in Ole Miss history for one season. So she's fallen behind the number 3 hitter Llamas here. And it's an interesting undertaking when you face your former team, especially so early in a season. And so that is 4 out of the zone to Llamas. You've got a couple of runners on now for the Rebels. See if they can respond after allowing the 4 in the top half of the first.
Well, the one thing that Patty Gasso really wanted Miley Huachenio and really her entire pitching staff to focus on was limiting the walks and limiting the long ball. When we saw Miley Huachenio pitch in SEC play the last time, it was Sunday against Auburn. She gave up 3 home runs in her last SEC game.
Here is the really skilled rookie. That's Maddie George. He's one of the better freshman hitters in the nation. Took that one to the outside corner for a strike. And George is off to a scorching start. He's hitting better than 400 entering the weekend. And looking to make a little noise here with a couple of runners on base. She's got to protect now with 2 strikes. First inning in Oxford. There's Huachenio's 0-2, waving a miss. She gets George chasing that one, 2 gone.
It's exactly what Huachenio wanted George to do. Freshman going up against her, hasn't seen this rise ball, and she expands up and out of the zone. Against left-handed hitters, Huachenio has a 46% swing and miss rate on that rise ball. Exactly what she needed with a runner in scoring position against a hitter like Maddie George is that strikeout.
Taylor Roman bats next. You like that sequence of pitches there in that at bat?
Yeah, as she was going into that pitch, I was thinking she's about to expand the zone up with her rise ball. I didn't say it, probably should have, because sometimes you get those right, but I feel like most times you get them wrong. And that time, I feel like I know I would have gotten it right. Great pitch there to get her to chase.
Roman turned on that one and rips it foul down the line. So all of a sudden, here's Huachenio in a position to toss a scoreless bottom half of this first inning. Roman, the second-year Rebel. He's got to protect here. Here comes the 0-2 from Huachenio.
It's a good take by Roman, who is in this lineup. I mean, let's be honest, to do damage, to hit a home run. Huge opportunity here with 2 on. She's in this lineup because she can hit the ball a mile. Had a home run in the Texas series that went off of a building beyond left field, one of the furthest home runs I had seen hit on TV at that park.
She's got the power, 1-2. That one's high and away. So the count evens.
Probably go to that curveball in the outside corner. Maybe a change up in the dirt, see if you can get her to chase something. You could tell she's leaning, she wants to hit, she wants to have the big swing here.
Fouled away. It was the middle game of that Texas series where she recorded the 3-hit day. Homer doubled as well. A senior from Missouri City, Texas. Huachenio trying to shut the door here. I think she offered. They go down to third. And they say no swing. Again, our first base umpire, he is shaded over, by the way, towards the second base bag, so he was not down the you see Wells, nobody was down that first base line, and instead Foy appeals over to Cooper. And so this at-bat continues. Here comes a payoff. That's foul.
Yeah, I thought she went on that check swing. Yeah, not an easy angle for the umpire by any means down the third base line, but I thought she went. Great at bat here. She found herself down, took some pitches, now fouling some pitches off. I mean, this is a really nice at bat that Taylor Roman is putting together in a situation that just feels like Ole Miss needs to answer back here.
Wachenio needs a moment. So the Sooners hit 2 homers in the top half of the first. They score 4 immediately. Ole Miss trying to respond. That's there for a called third strike. Wachenio strikes out consecutive hitters to retire the side.
Pulls the string with the changeup. 2 runners on, a runner in scoring position. She got her.
To the SEC, right at the top, you've got Texas, Oklahoma, Florida wins 2 out of 3 this weekend against Tennessee. So there it is with that 8-1 mark. Number 1 ranked team in the nation went down twice this weekend against Florida.
Yeah, some great series in the SEC this weekend. A&M swept Kentucky. That was big for them, putting them in a position to be right up here within the top 6. Texas looked really strong. Oklahoma, of course, has looked really strong. But I think the headliner is Florida winning the series against number 1 Tennessee, with Carlin Pickens pitching in that series and taking 2 of 3. That was just a great series. A lot of series came down to game 3. A lot of rubber matches today on Sunday in the SEC.
We had 4 of those. So we start the second inning. Abby Dayton leads off for Oklahoma. 9-1-2 due up against Emily Boyer. Looking to stabilize a bit. Gave up the 4 runs in that top half of the first. 2-run blast to Garcia, then Kai Miner hit a solo homer. That pitch is in for a strike. And so it comes as no surprise. Oklahoma, Texas, at least externally, they're viewed as 2 of the favorites to win the SEC this year. They're right there at the top once again to at least start league play.
And Texas and Texas A&M will play next weekend in Austin. So a little rivalry series that has a lot. I mean, 2 of those 6 teams are going to play each other next weekend.
You know all about how important that one is. Boyer, the senior, falls behind Dayton here. 3 balls and a strike.
You can see with her body language, she's just not happy about some of these calls that are not going her way. Although I will say, I feel like a couple have gone her way that maybe she shouldn't have gotten it back in the first inning, but just trying to figure out the strike zone.
Got a really good hitter here in Dayton. That one winds up foul that she's got to deal with here. Dayton is a problem at the bottom of the order. Does a great job of turning things over. The senior from Riverside, California, hitting .500 on the year. And so Dayton calls time for a moment. She wanted to make sure she was ready in the box before Boyer started that wind. Here comes a payoff, check swing. She did not offer. And so Dayton draws the 4th walk that Boyer has issued. So 1 time through the order, that is 4 walks Oklahoma has drawn. Nice Sunday evening at this just 1-year-old facility, Ole Miss Softball Stadium. One of the sparkling gems around the league. State-of-the-art facility, opened up last year. $32 million they invested into this facility. We've got a good crowd here on a Sunday. Game 2 of 3 between these two. Remember, mic'd up Monday. Tomorrow, Jamie Traxel's going to wear the microphone. So here we go, this dangerous top of the Oklahoma order. And circle back to the All-American Cassidy Pickering, who drew that walk to begin the game. Swings and drills it. This one's got flight, and goodbye, Pickering! It's just a tidal wave of offense here in the opening innings for OU.
This is why Boyer is just not trying to be perfect, goes to the changeup and actually gets Pickering a little bit out in front of this, but she's able to still hit with high exit velocity to get enough of it to get it out of the park. And that is indeed a new SEC record for a single season, even though we are still in the month of March, on March 22nd.
We're halfway through. These teams are likely going to play 55, 60-plus games. Boy, that is the third homer for OU. There's only been 10 players, 10 batters at the plate here against Boyer. And look out, because it doesn't get any easier. Kendall Wells steps back in. Now, Boyer struck out Wells, chasing a pitch low in the zone, similar to that. So now the count's 0-2. Boy, 6-0 Oklahoma. Called third strike. Boyer gets Wells looking.
I mean, think about this, Kevin. It's either really a walk, strikeout, or home run in this game. Boyer going right at Wells, getting her to chase and getting her to take that looked like drop ball or curve ball in the outside corner for strike 3. 2 strikeouts for Wells in this game.
I would assume this is, we'd have to scan through the game-by-game log here. This might be the first multi-strikeout game for Wells. She came in with just 9 in 94 at-bats. Ella Parker worked the walk first time up.
Hard to believe that there's only been 1 ball put in play that hasn't left the arc off the bat of Oklahoma, right? Again, walk, strikeout, home run. And then 1-4-3, or maybe it was the 3U to the right side that was the Emerling RBI back in the first inning. But what a weird start to this game, isn't it?
You're saying it hasn't been a very fascinating day for the fielders on the Ole Miss side to start here. They've had one. You're right. There's only been one time where they have had a chance to defend a ball put into play. This one has, just from, if you watch a lot of softball, this has had a unique feel to it. The start to this game. Parker takes that one outside. And so, if you're the Ole Miss side, what do you expect now moving forward? Boyer has had some up and down moments to this point. Well, has only recorded the 4 outs. 2-2 is right back to her. So she gets the second out in this frame.
Well, if you're Ole Miss, you have to start scoring some runs. I mean, you can't win a game with a 0 in each inning column. They got shut out yesterday. They have no runs here. They had a chance to score in the first inning. You have to start putting some pressure against Oklahoma and not just let them continue to dominate and take all of the momentum in this game. So offensively, to me, is where Ole Miss really needs to answer to grab some momentum in this series and in this game.
And sooner the better against Oklahoma.
Pun intended.
No pun. You know, you beat me too. You saw I was
thinking about that.
Yeah, no pun intended on that one. Now, Emerling was the first player to put one into play that, as you mentioned, did not leave the yard. It was just a bounce out that actually brought in a run. So these Sooners on a 19-game win streak and off to a 4-0 start in league play. They have set the tone in the early innings. And another one right back to the circle. So that does it for OU in the second. Pickering's blast puts them up 6-0 in Oxford. as an unseeded team. They make it there. Jamie Traxel became just the 4th coach in Division I modern era history to take 2 different programs to the Women's College World Series. Really impressive.
And both of those doing it.
Boy, by the way, we might have Ole Miss here getting on the board in the 2nd inning. Cassie Reisner, the shortstop, takes Miley Wachenio yard on the first pitch. They needed a response. They got one right here.
Yeah, I guess they maybe heard us talking about what they needed to do is score, get on the board, answer back. Reisner, who transferred over from Kentucky, goes up and gets that rise ball and just sends it out of here. Looking for that rise ball that is a hittable pitch up in the zone is what they're going to be doing against Miley Wachenio. Trying to get their barrel, their hands above the ball like Reisner just did. That's exactly what Ole Miss needed there. It needs to continue to do to keep up with Oklahoma's offense.
This is an OU offense that scores at such a high rate. You mentioned it an inning ago. You've just got to find the way to keep up. Leilana Applin started yesterday, went 0 for 2. This is the junior from Stamford, Texas. She's earning a couple of starts here in the outfield lately for the Rebels.
She hit that home run so quick, we didn't get to talk about Ole Miss's run last year that really felt like a Cinderella run with the way that they had to go on the road in regionals, go on the road in supers, and then make it to the World Series for the first time. Something that Coach Traxel has done with 2 different teams, at Minnesota and then here at Ole Miss.
That was that really spirited Minnesota run, 2019. You know, and you listen to Traxel talk about last year's team. It was a squad that just got better as each week unfolded. They thought it was going to play out that way with last year's roster. 0-2 is tapped foul. It's off of Applin's bat. So they wind up winning 42 games. You see the record in league play, 11-13. It's the mighty SEC. It's so difficult week in and week out in this league. But she had a roster that was filled with a number of first-year Rebels, similar to this year's team. And so she suspected that they were going to get better as the year unfolded. That's why it was no surprise to Traxel and the staff what they did in the postseason. Like you mentioned, first having to go to Tucson and knocking out a national seed in Arizona just to get to that super. Applin has fought off a couple of pitches here, waiting on an 0-2 from Wachenio. Spoils another.
So when you prepare for a series and a team that you haven't had, you look back and say, all right, who were the losses that they had? And I started to type it up. Oh, Jane Pone, Lexi Brady, De Leon, Lair Boutte, Ashton Lansdale, Jamie McKay, Aaliyah Binford,
it's a
Brianna
long list.
Lopez. I mean, the list just went on and on of impact players on that team from last year in every single aspect. They returned no innings pitched from last season. That is so tough to do in the SEC. And those were players that stepped up offensively, stepped up behind the plate, stepped up in the circle. And then, of course, too, losing Miley Wachenio to Oklahoma and then now having to face her.
And particularly early, just the 3rd series of your conference slate. Off speed that time gets Applin. So 1 out after the Reisner homer. Ryan Starr to bat next.
Yeah, third strikeout for Miley Wachenio. This one on the changeup, way out in front. Kind of got Applin into that swing mode where she was just fouling off pitches and ends up pulling the string with that changeup. 2nd strikeout that she's had with that changeup.
So 3 total. She's struck out 3 out of the last 4. Those final 2 outs of the first inning were punch outs. So Starr gets another opportunity to play third base today. Wells is stretching out, just trying to shake off. See that right hand she's trying to flex.
I'm not sure what happened. I think it hurt her right hand. Oh, when she went to throw, she hit the umpire's mask. Whenever she brought her hand back to throw, she went into the front of the umpire's mask, which is going to sting.
Yeah, that would indeed. 0-2 is fouled away. You saw almost a delayed reaction, just that reaction on her face of the pain finally setting in there momentarily. So a star started at third yesterday, walked and was hit by a pitch. Takes that one low.
And how about all the new faces on this Ole Miss team? We talked about the impact losses, but the amount of freshmen that they brought in, the 10 transfers that they brought in. I mean, that's a huge overhaul of your roster that Coach Traxel is having to work to build that team chemistry. And it's just not easy to do with their SEC schedule and the teams that they have faced and will face moving forward after they get done with Oklahoma.
A lot of newcomers on this roster, you know, and that really underscores who they have played right out of the gate to begin league play. You get Texas, Alabama, and Oklahoma. And that is really brutal. The competition to face right out of the gate. That 2-2 is nubbed over to first. So there's 2 out.
I asked Coach Traxel, you know, with all their transfer additions, I mean, we, as a fan, and when you watch the college softball season, February through the World Series, you see them for a very limited time. But these coaches do so much work in the summer with having to recruit, not just incoming freshmen, but now with the transfer portal. And talk to her about this consistency of Ole Miss getting in a big number of transfers and what that's like for her as a head coach to deal with. And she said it's exhausting. It is a lot of work for them in June and July. She's somebody that's very, you know, wants to look at everything, wants to talk to their travel ball coach, wants to have conversations and really make sure that they are a right fit for this program. So she takes a lot of effort put into it.
Taylor Malvin, who's typically at the top of the order, she's hitting 9th again today. And ideally for a program, for any program, and particularly Traxel, the way she phrases it, we'd certainly like to build out through the draft. We want to make sure we are bringing in freshman classes that have some pop to it. You don't want to rely, there's a balance of what to rely on depending on the losses year to year and where you're going to be hurt most, what position, so on and so forth.
Just a ton of work for these coaches in the offseason. Over the summer, they're having camps and clinics that they host on their field.
Malvin bounces that one right back to Uchenio. So after allowing that home in a Reasoner, she retires 3 in a row. A new SEC single season record. And they only needed 33 games to break this mark.
It's amazing what they've been able to do, averaging almost 4 home runs a game.
Well, what are they? They are 3/4 of the way there today because they've hit 3. 2 in the first, 1 in the second. And it's now 5, 6, and 7 due up against Emily Boyer. Gabby Garcia hit 1 of those homers, so 15 on the year for Garcia. It is just staggering offensive production.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, mentioned this at the top, but you start to sound like a broken record when you talk about Oklahoma's offense because of the consistency of the explosiveness and the way that they can hit the long ball, hit for power, have quality at bat after quality at bat. And I mean, when you really diagnose their numbers after 2020 and look at once we came back from that shortened COVID season in 2021, 22, 23, and what this offense has been able to do, I mean, it's staggering, jaw-dropping numbers, winning those 4 national championships in a row, being able to put together the best offense in the country, led by JT Gasso, Patty Gasso's son, and associate head coach, who was one of the best hitting minds, in my opinion, that our game has ever seen.
Kai Minor takes that for a strike. You know, how does it come together the way it has in your eyes? just this combination, what Gasso has done, the standard for this program, how has it unfolded?
I think they recruit really well. And Patty Gasso has known how to win national championships for a while. Remember, her first one was all the way back in 2000. So she's a proven winner for a long time. This Oklahoma program has been solid, but I do think that the difference maker has been JT Gasso being able to put together the best hitting plans.
Well, here could be another. Yep, say goodbye. Minor, a 2-homer day for the freshman. They have poured it on in the early innings in Oxford. It's now 8-1.
And two different home run styles for Minor. The last one that she hit was like a towering fly ball, and this was more toward left center. This one, more a line drive to center field, just going down and getting it. Minor, who just is so athletic. I mean, she has that home run power, but a ton of speed too. 4 home runs in this game, and a lot of these walks have come back around to score that Boyer has walked, and then boom, home run that scores them.
They have officially hit their mark. You mentioned they average, what, at this point, about 4 homers per game. That is the 4th. You've got Boyer having the conversation with Bunker. Minor is, she has been really impressive in her first season, first 33 games of her career. You know, it's funny, she hasn't had the reputation as being one of the big home run hitters this season. Today, she's gone yard twice.
We asked Patty Gasso, you know, these home run numbers, like, where are they coming from? Where? And when she answered, it was preparation, having a really good understanding of what the pitcher is going to throw them and certain counts and knowing what's coming. The strength has been on a whole new level with their strength coach, Joe Padula, that has trained them very well, gotten them very strong, has worked to understand the dynamics of a swing and what is needed to create power. But I think ultimately JT Gasso just does such a great job of bringing in a lot of different angles to coach these hitters uniquely to whatever they need, to their strengths, to prepare them to feel their best individually, not collectively as the entire team. He knows his team so well.
Yeah, and that formula, just what results is what we have seen. And it has been a lethal formula for this year's iteration of Sooners softball. That's Ilana Agbayani, who popped that one up as foul, gets behind home plate. And so Boyer still looking for the first out in this frame. It's a great point you bring up, because not every hitter, not every player is the same. The same goes for pitchers. You know, those biomechanics you hear a lot about in the game these days. It's very important. That one's on the outside edge for a called third strike. So Boyer has allowed the 4 homers, but she does have 4 strikeouts.
This might be crazy to say, but I don't feel like she's pitched that bad. In watching her and the location of her stuff, yes, the walks are the one thing that absolutely need to go, but when she's gotten outs, it's been these mishits, a lot of check swings. You can tell Oklahoma does not feel 100% comfortable despite these 4 home runs that they've hit.
The 5 walks, to your point, that has been the most costly. Sydney Barker is back up at the box. So this is going to be, for the first time here, the left side of the diamond. No, it's not even going to count. That one goes off the front foot of Dayton. I was about to make it. We have the only fielders that have had a chance to make a play so far through a couple innings here has been Boyer and then the first baseman Yamas. So you're the left side of the diamond, you're thinking, all right, I got finally something to work with here. And that one's off of Barker's foot.
I mean,
and that one's topped foul.
Watching them, the ball just comes off of their bat different. There's so many times that I think Oklahoma hits a home run that I think, oh, that's going to be a deep fly ball to center field. And it just keeps going. Their exit velocity is something that JT Gasso, I know, puts a lot of time, effort, data, and energy into to create that high exit velocity so that even those mishits that aren't 100% squared up perfectly, still have a chance of getting through the
Right.
infield or going over the fence. Their exit velocity focus is something that they put a lot of pride in and helps them create higher batting averages, get ground balls more through the infield, and create more power and home runs.
And that's how you win those championships. You know, the OPS numbers, the slugging percentage numbers, they're just all eye-popping. That one's grounded, fair. Starr tried to dive at it. That's a base hit for Barker. So we have our first non-home run hit here in the third inning. It's a hard hit single over to the third base side.
Out in front of this, but Starr playing a little bit off of the line, and it just barely stays fair off of her glove. Even if she would have fielded that cleanly, I think Barker would have been safe anyway. And everything's going right. It's going right for Oklahoma's offense. Everything is going right.
Abby Dayton takes that for a strike. There is just nowhere to hide. There's no soft spot whatsoever in the order. And you've got Dayton batting .500 in the 9-hole. It's a really productive veteran from Riverside, California. She started close to 200 games in her career, started at Utah, and now her second season as a staple in that OU order. Slapped foul. Boyer coming home with the 1-2. That one misses outside.
Yeah, remember Abby Dayton actually started at Utah with Patty Gasso's other son, DJ, when he was a hitting coach at Utah. And so she has been able to play for both of the Gasso brothers, DJ and JT, and now play for Patty at OU.
Spoils that one foul.
Had a chance to talk to her last year about working with JT, and she told me that he's more data-based and mechanics-based, like a really nice blend. But there's something about JT, he'll say one small thing, she said, and you'll hit a home run. One tiny little change, mechanical fix, and she said, and you know, then you can hit a home run. So that's all it takes.
He's got the magic. Yeah, I should.
It's just one small thing.
I wish he was there throughout my career. Would have liked to talk to him. A lot of mistakes I needed to have shored up back in the day. Well, it's going to be, as you know, the family affair here coming up. Yeah. Oklahoma has its series against Arkansas very soon, so everyone can appreciate the reunion. That is where, as you mentioned, the other Gasso now coaches. Two is nubbed foul. I think Patty joked with you not long ago. I just, whatever JT says, go ahead. I can't fight him anymore. We listen to the numbers, the analytics that he's got.
Yeah, Patty uses more of that gut instinct, kind of old school softball feel to make the lineup and make some moves. And JT is going to be digging into the data and the numbers and basing decisions more analytically based like that. So really nice balance between these two.
It's been a winning combination, winning formula. So the count goes full to Dayton. Boyer has got the one out in this top half of the third. We got the 9th pitch of the at-bat coming up. There have been a number of longer at-bats, too. That one is bounced. Runner was on the move, so no play at second base and a bullet to first. Reasoner retires Dayton. Oklahoma does have that runner in scoring position now for the top of the order. Pickering bats next. Here is just another example of someone who has thrived at Oklahoma and offensively. the junior from Texas. Lines that one, fading down into right field. And the runner stops at third. They'll be at the corners. So Pickering now 2 for 2. She's reached base all 3 times. It's now 31 straight games, by the way, Pickering has reached safely. And Kendall Wells is about to dig in, but will she face Boyer? Jamie Traxel is on the way out to the circle.
It's hard not to keep her in there when she struck her out 2 times.
Twice.
So maybe a little meeting of the mind here to talk about the situation and just mull it over, but it's hard to take her out if you're going to make a pitching change when she has struck out Wells twice.
And you see Traxel's talking to the infield, going over some defensive items with the runners at the corners. And then Nancy Evans, the pitching coach, out to talk with Boyer.
Yeah, Nancy Evans, just a really well-known pitching coach, highly respected. Big pickup for Ole Miss last year whenever they got her to come and be their pitching coach. It was...
Talk about someone who is known as one of the greatest, dominant record-setting pitcher in her own right in Arizona.
Yeah, asked Coach Traxel last year, what has Nancy brought to your pitchers? She said one thing, winning. She knows how to win, as she did as a player, she did as a coach. She brings that winner's mentality to this pitching staff. Did a great job with the staff last year as they developed all throughout the season to be their best in Oklahoma City.
That edge, that mentality, it's just so important. Especially when you face high-level competition. So every time Kendall Wells digs in, there's this anticipation. She has struck out twice against Boyer. One time chasing a pitch in the dirt, another time looking.
Yeah, Boyer is getting her to chase her drop ball low and away. And it's a pitch that you can see that Wells is not really seeing well out of her hand at all. Being able to change speeds on her as well too, but that outside drop ball is a pitch that she's not seen well and she is fishing for off the plate.
This is the nation's home run leader. Waves and misses, and the count's 1-2.
And when you're getting a hitter like Wells to chase pitches that far out of the zone, you are just feeling really good in the circle. Go right back to it. You can change speeds a little bit, just throw her off even a little bit more, but she continues to not hold back.
Runner takes off, throw down to second base. The tag is there. Bunker throws out Pickering, and the inning is over.
Ole Miss is just continuing to find this momentum. They got a run last inning. Could this throw out at second be even more momentum?
The SEC Network, it will be the series finale. Mic'd up Monday, fantastic. We love that it's back for another season. You never know what you're going to get sometimes when the coaches put the mic on.
Yeah, I hope to hear maybe a little bit of strategy. And I know Jamie Traxel loves defense. She has always had good defensive teams, coaches a great defense.
Well, it was that great defensive play, by the way, that put an end to the top half of the third inning. We saw Kennedy Bunker throw out a runner at second base. And so Oklahoma had an opportunity to add some more runs, and Ole Miss put an end to that. The Rebels are at the plate. It's the top of the order. Bunker leads off against Huachenio, who was allowed just that one run. It was a solo blast in the second. Bunker singled to kick off the game against Huachenio. She was stranded on the base paths. An 8-1 lead for the Sooners. Oh, good pitch. Down and away gets Bunker chasing it. Her 4th strikeout.
Back to that changeup, and I like the way that she bends this down and kind of away from Bunker too. Changing speeds, almost like an off-speed drop ball, gets her to chase that changeup well out of the zone for her 4th strikeout.
So only 2 Ole Miss hitters have recorded a hit in this one. That's it. This is Mackenzie Pickens. She flew out to center her first time up, sends it out that way again, and 2 quick outs. And that is a forte of Huachenio. The batting average against is really low. It's actually top 10 of the SEC.
Yeah, and it's down about 60 points from last year. It was 224 in her freshman year at Ole Miss, about 169 coming into this game. So you can tell that there's been different ways that Huachenio has grown and developed as a sophomore.
This is Yama's all-conference slugger in the 3-hole. Walked her first plate appearance.
And one thing that stands out to me is just her ability to throw more strikes. And her first pitch strike percentage is up by 12% than as a freshman at Ole Miss. It's closer to 70% than it was closer to 55% as a freshman. So fewer walks.
That's bounced over to the right side. This is going to be a 1-2-3 inning for Huachenio. She's got 4 strikeouts as well, and her team is up big after 3. Nice inning. Lights now on a Sunday evening in Oxford. Oklahoma scored 4 runs in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the third. They've got the 8-1 lead over Ole Miss in the middle game, trying to take the first 2 of this series.
Oklahoma just tough to slow down, scoring in each inning, had that big 4 spot in the first inning, and then 2 runs in the second, 2 runs in the third, 4 home runs that they've hit. Kai Miner, the freshman, having a day with 2 homers. So ball has been leaving the ballpark. Reusner hit a home run. That's the only way that Ole Miss has scored in both games so far. Their offense has to get going. Try to put some pressure on Oklahoma.
I mean, they are the ones that put the pressure on you more often than not first. Kendall Wells, by the way, is back in the box facing Boyer for a 3rd time. So if you're Boyer, she's retired Wells 3 times today. That is the nation's home run leader. And just a good way to start this second inning. All 3 of her first innings began with walks. Ella Parker bats next here, number 3 hitter. And so Gasso moves Parker back into the 3-hole today, or moves her up in the order, I should say. The numbers are eye-popping like most of these OU hitters. Parker's the 2-time All-American.
You can tell still playing with their lineup a little bit.
Yeah.
Ole Miss is doing the same. Again, we're only in the month of March, so coaches, I think, still a little bit trying to figure out, is there going to be a set lineup? Am I just going to continue to change it based off of matchups? A lot of decisions to be made as the season goes on, but definitely noticed when Kendall Wells was in the 2-hole and we asked Coach Gasso about it, and they said they just want her to get a few more at-bats.
Yep.
And moving up 1 in the lineup can do that for a player.
For the Sooners program, as we know, 9th straight Women's College World Series appearance last year. Now, they bring back a lot of production, and you see that veteran presence at the top of the batting order. There's a number of freshmen near the bottom of the order, but a lot of returners from that squad a season ago. So Patty Gasso having a word with Todd Foy, the home plate umpire. So Lexi McDaniel to pinch hit for Isabella Emmerling, who went 0 for 2.
Another one of these freshmen coming in for Oklahoma, and just a very solid class with Lexi McDaniel and Kendall Wells, Alyssa Parker, Kai Miner. And they all have kind of grown up together, Coach Gasso said, attending a lot of OU camps when they were younger, feeling really connected and really excited about making the decision to come here and play together and enter into play at OU in the same freshman class, and just having that familiarity and relationships already built amongst this freshman class.
It has helped build that confidence, too. I mean, this is a very confident bunch. McDaniel, Wells, Kai Miner, others that have been in the lineup here every day. Boyer spots that one in for a strike. She's got her 95th pitch of the evening coming up here. Gasso and the crew, they're tinkering with the lineup card, positionally speaking as well. They continue to tinker at a couple of positions. That one's outside, so it's back-to-back walks for the Sooners. And Garcia, that is a very dangerous bat, is set to hit next. And so that, the way things have unfolded at first base this season, McDaniel, Emmerling, Patty Gasso, I think, would be the first to mention they're figuring out who they like over there on an everyday basis. At third base, they had to figure out who was going to be the everyday starter at third.
Yeah, they even had tryouts at third base and tryouts at first base, too. Yeah. And that's Coach Gasso's word, not Amanda and Kevin's word, as it looks like we're going to see an Ole Miss pitching change here.
So it is a pitching change in Oxford before Garcia hits with runners on. Freshman from Columbus, Georgia, Grayson Jordan. That replaces Emily Boyer here. Just one out in the top half of the fourth inning. And this rookie is about to face Gabby Garcia, the shortstop. Went yard her first time up back in the opening inning.
Yeah, look at her go down and get that drop ball to send out of here. Just a laser, and that's back when the score was only 1-0. Got Oklahoma a big 4 spot in that first inning. And looking at Gabby Garcia's numbers, I mean, look at her batting average. Last year she hit .351 as a freshman. She's raised that batting average about 100 points. Likely going to hit more home runs this year than what she did last year as a freshman. She hit 20. I mean, that's a crazy number for a freshman. But Gabby Garcia offensively having an even better year this year. And even looking at her batting average against certain pitches, she got that drop ball sent it out of here against Boyer, right? She's hitting a drop ball 150 points higher in the season, and same thing with her changeup. So it's really worked to hit for a better average in the lower part of the zone, changing speeds with the changeup and drop ball, both increasing her batting average against those pitches by 150 points.
Alexa Rosales, by the way, is the new right fielder. Garcia 2.0 has just been a menace at the plate. I mean, you always expect a jump freshman to sophomore year. But what else do those numbers tell you about how the step forward she's taken?
It tells you that she's a hard worker, and Coach Gasso will tell you all about Gabby Garcia. She was an All-American as a freshman, and of course one of the best shortstops in the country too. It's like when you have an Oklahoma game, you don't talk as much about their defense because their offense is so overwhelming that you talk a lot about them. But defensively, Gabby Garcia is one of the best shortstops in the country as a sophomore, working side by side with Agbayani.
Lifts this one down the line. Long run for Applin. Dives. It's off the mitt. And that one winds up being extra bases. A run scores. And so as it stands right now, Applin, her mitt touched that one in fair territory. Traxel is going to have a word here with Foy. Let's take a look at how this one unfolded.
And she had a long way to go. And that ends up definitely touching her glove in fair territory, but she had such a...
The call in the field is fair ball. That call is being challenged by Ole Miss.
She had such a long way to go from where she started out in about left center field. Felt like she was running forever because that ball was in the air for a long time. And again, Oklahoma, there's been 3 hits in my mind that have just landed right down the line. A ground ball down third base, a fly ball over toward right field, and then now that one. I mean, if they're not beating you with the home runs and they're getting the love.
After review, the call in the field is confirmed.
Here's a good view right there. Yep.
That was the last of Ole Miss's challenges tonight. They had no more left.
And Traxel, again, it's a why not sort of a situation. That run did come home, so it is now 9-1 Oklahoma. I would agree with that point, partner. That was a tremendous effort from Applin. I thought she had it there on the dive. Just ricochets right off the mitt. And so now you still have 2 on, and Kai Minor. You like this stat line for tonight? 2 for 2, 2 homers. The infield comes in against this really talented first-year player from Irvine, California. And she has been OU's starting center fielder from the get-go. It's outside corner for a strike. So it's McDaniel over at third, and then Garcia with the double. Minor drills it right to center. No tag for McDaniel. And there's 2 out. Boy, right on the screws that time. And so Minor runs over. A couple of words for Ilana Agbayani before she disappears into the dugout.
Yeah, these Oklahoma hitters are just so good at passing information to each other. This is their first time hitting off of Grayson Jordan because she just entered in. So Kai Minor passing on information to Agbayani about what she saw. Especially helpful because she's a left-handed hitter too. So hey, here's what I saw, or here's a certain keyword or language that we speak that can relay some sort of important information to you in your at bat so that you can go up and have a quality at bat and get a hit here.
Agbayani, the senior from Mililani, Hawaii, 2nd year with the program. Also known for that really strong glove at second base. He's got a pitch here. That's in the dirt, though, and so the count's now 3-0. Grayson Jordan, first-year player, has only thrown 7 2/3 innings this season. That's all. Just her 6th appearance in the circle. And can't find the zone right there, so bases are loaded.
Not the worst case scenario because now your defense has a force at any bag. So it takes a little bit of pressure off of them. Or not pressure off of them, but if a ball is taking them more toward one bag or the other, make the easier play at a force out.
And so if they can do that, they would get out of this frame with just 1 run damage. Now, again, they're on the wrong end of that 9-1 score, so it's an uphill climb the rest of the way. But with the bases loaded, still a chance to limit the damage.
Oklahoma, I feel like, has just come into this game on a mission today. I don't know what it is that got into them, but scoring 4 runs in the first inning, maybe it was the fact that they had a little bit of a slower start offensively in yesterday's game, and they said, you know what, we want today to be different. We want to put pressure on them early in the game instead of waiting until later in the game like they did yesterday. In fact, you're going to see Boyer again, so another pitching change. The starter is going to enter back into this game.
Speaking of a chess move, Boyer will be back out there in just a few moments to face Barker. What do you make of the tactics there, by the way, with essentially giving Boyer a bit of a breather before coming back out here trying to shut the door?
Yeah, it's sometimes tough to figure out the coach's decisions and not wanting to use another pitcher to keep them fresh for tomorrow and not wanting Oklahoma to get more looks off of somebody else in the Oklahoma pitching staff, like Lily Witten, who we've just seen a little bit, or Kyra Aycock, who threw really well for Ole Miss in yesterday's game. She got the start then. So I really, again, I said this before, I felt like Emily Boyer threw some really good pitches. I liked what I saw from her, and I know that the walks and home runs do not reflect that, giving up 9 earned runs, as home runs will really start to escalate your ERA and earned run total. But I thought she had really good stuff.
And so she faces Barker, who she did fan back in the first inning. And with nowhere to put the runner here in 2 outs, you'd expect she's just going to pound the zone here, trying to get this 3rd out. That 0-1 is in the dirt. Oklahoma has the significant edge. It has scored in every frame. One home in this 4th inning. They've got the bases loaded. There's a 1-1. That's low again.
It's a great job by Bunker keeping that in front. That drop ball in the dirt, runner at third base. Blocks it, just doesn't let it get even too far away. Bunker, a veteran catcher that Ole Miss got in the transfer portal.
Counts 3-1. What's the sophomore from Rockland, California going to get here? 100th pitch of the evening coming up for Boyer.
You've got to challenge her here with the bases loaded. Last thing you want to do is walk in a run, see if she can get herself out on this pitch.
Check swing, and the home plate umpire says she did offer on that pitch running in.
And helped her out. That for sure would have been ball 4. Let Emily Boyer off the hook. This is exactly what she wanted on this check swing and a pitch that was riding very far in, even tough to handle for Bunker.
Meaningful spot here for Boyer. Lets it go, and it's in tight. Ball forward, it brings in a run. It's 10-1. So the 4th walk of the inning brings in the 10th Oklahoma run. Remember, we will talk to Patty Gasso in the bottom half of the 4th inning. It's another 10-run performance for her team today. Abby Dayton up for the 3rd time today. I mean, I'm very interested just to hear her thoughts on, you mentioned it before, just the approach today. They have been relentless at the plate. At 1-0 is drilled. Is it going to stay fair? It's foul. Hit hard, sprayed down the line. It's a long strike.
You know, one thing that Coach Traxel said about Oklahoma, and this will be a quote that I think that I carry with me about Oklahoma, but how Oklahoma plays to the standard and not the circumstance. They're so good at playing to the level that they create, their standard, their championship mindset. They don't play to the circumstance.
Oh, Dayton drills it deep right, gone! A grand slam for Abby Dayton. Too much Sooner power in Oxford tonight.
Way too much. Abby Dayton in the 9-hole. Her 5th home run of the season is this grand slam to now extend the lead. 14 runs on the board. There is an intensity in this Oklahoma offense tonight. I'm telling you, I know they always come out and score a lot of runs, but tonight felt a little different when they started this game. Like they were fired up about something and kind of had a point to make.
Cassidy Pickering is the 9th hitter to the plate here in the 4th inning. So 6 runs have come home, so it was already a sizable advantage. Now this game it's wide open at this point. 14-1 the score. Pickering has one of the 5 homers today. So by the way, the last Sooner to hit a grand slam, it was Abby Dayton last month. She's got the last 2. Pickering chases that one, strike 2.
Did think she has one of the lowest home run totals on this season, and to think that she has both of the grand slams. She is clutch, a veteran. She has opportunities when she comes up to the plate because people are getting on in front of her.
Outside corner, a called third strike. What an inning for the Sooners. They score 6 more. Add another homer. It's 5. We'll talk to Gasso about it next. It's 5 more homers for this Oklahoma team. 14-1 edge. We go to the bottom of the 4th. The Rebels will be at the plate in a moment. We say hello to the Hall of Famer. That is Patty Gasso. Coach, thanks for putting on the headset and doing this. I'm sure you were aware of it, but with 5 more homers tonight, this is a new SEC single-season record for Oklahoma. You guys do it in 33 games. I mean, how would you describe just the difference, perhaps, in power of this year's squad compared to years in the past?
I've been saying it, just hard work, lots of swing, lots of work in the weight room, just committed to being a strong offensive team.
Coach, this is a big game for Miley Wichenio coming in to pitch against her own team, and I know that you're one to watch body language and how she's reacting. How do you feel like she's settled into this game, not just with her stuff, but everything else that goes into it?
I absolutely love it. This is kind of the highlight of the season for me right now. At least that's what I feel like. She looks like she's handling things really well, getting ahead. You know, some of the pitches that she throws, she'll give up a home run here and there, but I love her mix right now. I think Carly Keeney's doing a great job of mixing in. So I'm really pleased right now.
And they've only got the 2 hits against her through 3 innings here, so she goes back to work. Coach, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and Coach is right on it. She's retired 6 in a row now, has got the 4 strikeouts, and you can sense that additional meaning with it being against her former, not just for Miley, but as you hear for Coach Gasso, very special to see how she is. I think the word to use is how you handle a moment like this. You face a team that you helped carry and guide to the World Series a year ago for the first time, facing your former squad.
Well, we were interested when we went to talk to her before the game, Coach Gasso, of are you going to start Miley Wichenio? Usually she is going to be the Game 2 starter of a SEC series. Audrey Lowry is going to start Game 1. Wichenio is going to start Game 2.
Oh, that's off the mitt of McDaniel at first. So George gets into scoring position. Hard hit ball down the first base line.
And it was the response to me from Patty Gasso that she just wanted her to have this moment. Felt like this was going to be the biggest moment for her to pitch in so far this year, and that she needed a big moment to pitch in. So for Miley Wichenio to come out and start against her former team, not an easy task at all. A team that knows her, a coaching staff that knows her very well. You're playing in Oxford, where you used to live and practice on this field. This is a challenging moment for anybody in the transfer portal to then pitch against their former team.
Taylor Roman attacks the first pitch, pops it over to Garcia, so there's 1 quick out. A scenario like this, it very much can play upon the emotions. Sometimes not quite sure, and it's a little different in the lead up. You know, it's one thing to say, I think I'll be good, I feel comfortable, I feel confident. Sometimes things can change just the moment you step back into that spotlight.
Well, and just Coach Gasso did not hesitate. Yeah, she's going to be pitching today. She felt like she was really calm about it all week. And, I mean, this happens a lot in the transfer portal era. You had S.J. Guerin for Auburn, who was pitching against Oklahoma and Norman last weekend when they played. So that's going to be a tough moment. Now you have Miley Wichenio pitching against Ole Miss. And then next weekend, Sydney Berzon, who transferred to Oklahoma, will be pitching against or playing against LSU when they go into Baton Rouge.
Cassie Reisner, by the way, has that 1 big hit for Ole Miss. It was the solo home run to kick off the 2nd inning. That's their lone run today. That gets away from Wells, and George is over to third now. You know, they ruled that one a hit down the line, and so I thought we might see error. I guess we talk about this Oklahoma team and how they rarely make the mistakes. Perhaps a play for McDaniel at first, then one that gets by Wells, and all of a sudden there's an Ole Miss runner that's sitting at third base. That's in for a strike.
You know that Wachenio wants to finish strong in this game. See if Ole Miss can put together something against her in this inning, but wants to finish what she started here, a successful outing.
That slapped foul down the line.
And Audrey Lowry pitched really well in last night's game. I know that Coach Gasso was excited about that start that she had, going deep against this Ole Miss team and only giving up a couple of hits. Just really looking dominant, had Ole Miss and all kind of out of sorts. Not look good.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. That's 5 punch-outs now for Wachenio.
Watch how she finishes off on this curveball, kind of falls toward the first base side and finishes it strong across her body to get that to be a chase pitch. A little bit up, a little bit out. Kendall Wells loves that strikeout for the second out of this inning.
She and Lowry, they have formed that 1-2 punch for Oklahoma. 32 games in. Applin, by the way, took that pitch inside. And then when you throw in Alyssa Parker, you know, this freshman has done a really fine job closing games in some of these early SEC series for Oklahoma. So that trio has held Ole Miss to just the 1 run through nearly 2 games now. A chance, though, for the Rebels. They're trying to add one here. George is sitting at 3rd with 2 gone in this 4th. Not to mention Berzon.
Another option, and Kirsten Deal, who's a senior, who has been in Oklahoma since her freshman year. Another left-handed option that they have.
Here we go. That one's lined over to Agbayani. She makes the play, and the inning's over. For Wachenio, 4 innings, just the 1 run allowed. Her team's up big. And everybody has had a hand in this one. Pickering, Garcia, Minor went deep twice. Dayton with a grand slam. So it's 126 on the season. All right, next up, it's the Division I record. And it's just now, it feels like it's just a matter of when. So.
Well, and I think the question is, too, are they going to get to 200? Like, is that a possibility? Because I feel like 161 is very attainable at this point and looking like they're likely to beat that record. But is 200 attainable when it's all said and done?
I mean, the number of games that they play year in and year out, I think that is a very fair theory to bring up at this point. Lily Witten, that's the junior in the circle now for Ole Miss. You see the score, they're down 14-1. Witten has been one of their reliable arms, and so she takes over to face the heart of this Oklahoma order.
Trying to get some experience against this type of offense is always going to be great experience to have in your back pocket. See how you go up against the best in the country. I saw her in yesterday's game, too.
Finally seeing the field with Ole Miss. She was a mid-year transfer last year from Missouri. That's where she started her career. And she has had some bright spots, had a good outing against Alabama a couple of weeks ago. So we'll face OU, who should start this 5th inning with a pinch hitter. Kendall Wells went 0 for 3 today. And it looks like Tia Malloy will hit for her in the 5th inning. It continues to be one of the stories, especially in the SEC, but around the nation as well. Oklahoma's offense, they swept Auburn last weekend, hit 7 homers. They are certainly on their way to taking the first 2 games of this series. They've hit 7 when you factor in the 2 yesterday. You brought this point up earlier tonight, partner. It just has felt like just the fly balls or the liners that we have seen bash to the outfield. They have taken off. Things have gotten out of here very quickly.
Yeah, not a lot of wind tonight either. You know, there's only been one game so far this season that Oklahoma has not hit a home run, and that was against Cal, and it was 7-5, that score.
It's amazing. They played 33 games at this point. The home run rate is off the charts.
Yeah, there's 2 losses on the season, one to Long Beach State and then one to Arizona, but on this long win streak as it stands right now, and in SEC play, just continuing to pile up the run rolls too. The majority of the games that Oklahoma plays in have been run rolls this season because of their offense, not even making it to 7 innings.
Witten coming home with a 1-2, gets Malloy swinging at that one, so 1 out. Ella Parker is expected to hit next. We're going to have a pinch hitter. Well, to me, that circles back to that quote you referenced from Jamie Traxel about playing to a standard. There is oftentimes in sports you hear a phrase, maybe playing down to your opponent. First pitch is in for a strike, and it's Cheney Helton. You know, at this point, Oklahoma coming into the series very much was the favorite. They're ranked 4th in the nation. Ole Miss has faced this really challenging slate. It doesn't matter whether it's a non-conference game or a conference game. It doesn't matter whether it's the postseason or the first week of the year. I think when you're holding yourself, if you're a team of 20 players holding yourself to that elite championship standard, it's a reason why you would see this eye-popping production to this point. That's in for a strike. And so we will talk to Coach Traxel in the home 5th. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Good stuff here from Witten.
Yeah, that changeup is Lily Witten's best pitch, and she's using it in both of these strikeouts, getting Oklahoma out in front. Exactly, I think what they've needed is just more of a change of speeds from the Ole Miss pitchers. That is such a drop down and drastically different from the fastest stuff. Lily Witten is doing that with her changeup so far.
Liesl Osteen is the pinch hitter. Takes that for a strike. Pardon me, this is Lexi McDaniel. Second plate appearance for McDaniel, walked in the 4th.
You would think that tomorrow for Ole Miss, Kyra Aycock likely to get the start again, I would say. And she threw well against Oklahoma in yesterday's game, did a good job of keeping the ball down, throwing some strikes, and holding them to low run totals in the first few innings. So the way that Lily Witten is pitching, she's going to earn some more innings tomorrow, too. 3 strikeouts, struck out the side with that changeup.
3 in a row, and we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Ole Miss facing that run rule. They've got to score some runs. We'll talk to Traxel next. Back in Oxford, we start the home half of this 5th inning at Ole Miss Softball Stadium. We've got Jamie Traxel, the 60-year boss, guided this program to the World Series a year ago. Coach, thanks for taking a moment to do this. You know, we were talking to you this week about your roster and the newcomers and a lot of first-year players.
Yep.
I'd be curious here. You guys have faced the gauntlet right out of the chute to begin SEC play. You know, what do you expect from this group as this season unfolds?
To keep getting better, you know, small victories that will equate to something. Obviously, tough first 4 conference series, and you know, even Emily, like it's free passes and the home run, and then other than that, she's thrown some great pitches and gotten some easy outs for us. We like the matchup on the righty, but you know, with their experience, they're completely bought in still. We're working hard, celebrate the little things that are going to add up to big things eventually, and just keep our head in there and have a lot of pride in our fight along the way.
Yeah, and with your offense, Coach, what have you seen or maybe not seen from them that led to just the one run in the last 2 games?
You know, I think just some timely hits too when we've had some people on base or getting in scoring position. Even we had an opportunity early in the game. You know, so just got to keep battling, attacking the strike zone. Obviously, we haven't seen the film on this, but swinging at strikes, getting your ace swing off with a lot of confidence, and then having good composure to stay in your strike zone and not chase out of the zone, which we've done a little bit over the last few weeks, but we're growing along the way.
Coach, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Have a good night. Hotty toddy.
Ole Miss faces Sydney Berzon. That is the senior from Buffalo, New York. One of the pitching acquisitions in the offseason, along with Huachenio. 14th appearance now in the circle for Berzon.
Big name in the portal, and you're wondering where she was going to end up. So Oklahoma gets another All-American transfer in the transfer portal, brought to wear their Oklahoma uniform and pitch in the SEC again.
Had that really good career at LSU. And so she's out there here in this 5th inning to shut the door. Obviously, the run rule provision is now in effect. Oklahoma has a 14-1 edge. And Berzon trying to cement back-to-back wins. They would both be in run rule fashion if they do it right here. You get the bottom of the order. Ryan Starr leads off for the Rebels. Or Rachel Connors. It's in for a strike. Tapped foul. Berzon was the ace at LSU, where she pitched the 3 prior seasons, as you mentioned, All-American and All-Conference selection year after year. And this season is logged 28 2/3 innings. That's third most, of course, behind that duo of Lowry and Huachenio.
Not nearly as many innings as she pitched at LSU, where she was the ace.
This one is lifted deep out to right. It's got some carry. It's off the base of the wall. Connors with extra bases in the 5th inning.
With Cheney Helton now out in right field, looking like maybe some miscommunication or lack of communication between her and Minor, just trying to find the fence, trying to get under that fly ball. Who's going to get it? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be you? A lot of time to get underneath that fly ball. That is a fly ball that you're used to seeing Oklahoma outfielders catch, but Ole Miss will take it for a little bit of momentum late in this game.
And so Starr is going to run for her. Oh, Connors got an opportunity, made the most of it. Coach,
a lot of defensive changes that Coach Gasso is making with Berzon and the circle. You have Alyssa Parker over at third base, Sydney Barker at shortstop, and then Helton now in right field, as we mentioned, just trying to get some different players in different positions, getting them some time.
One to Malvin is in tight. Berzon trying to find the zone. It's a 3-ball, 1-strike count to Malvin. This is the veteran.
And
she walked her.
If you're Ole Miss, you're just trying to find some momentum, likely just to bring into tomorrow. Last thing you wanted in this inning is to go 3 up, 3 down, but just to find some kind of confidence builders in these ABs that you can take into game 3 tomorrow. Got shut out yesterday, only 1 run scored off of a solo home run in this game. So just trying to find some ways to put some at-bats together, string some things together, even if it is in the bottom of the 5th inning, down by 13 runs. It matters for tomorrow to set you up with a little bit more confidence to face this same team again and avoid getting swept.
You just heard Jamie Traxel mention it, doing everything we do with some pride here and finishing strong from that standpoint. Tough night for the Rebels. They fell behind 4-0 in that opening frame. Oklahoma had a 6-0 advantage before Ole Miss scored its lone run back in the 2nd inning. And then it was the 6-run 4th inning. That was the one that really felt like it sunk the boat, so to speak. That one's in for a strike.
Well, and I think to keep up with Oklahoma, you got to swing it with them. You have to be able to score runs and hit some home runs off of their pitchers. I mean, when you look at it, maybe a weakness of this team, it's the amount of home runs that they've given up.
Way out ahead of it, it skips over Berzon's mitt. Was there a tag? Yes, there was. Agbayani's got to recognize, yes, Starr was bouncing off of 3rd. So Oklahoma does get the out at second base. It did look like Agbayani was able to slap the tag on the runner. Look at the weird hop over Berzon's mitt.
Yeah, and there is so much spin off of the bat, past Berzon and into the mid of Agbayani, who does indeed get the tag on her before she gets to second base. Yep. No challenges left for Jamie Traxel, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
That's the now 1st of the inning. Runners at the corners. And it's Pickens who hits for the 3rd time today. Pickens takes it for a strike. So she has flown out to center twice. She's put the ball into play. The sophomore from Georgia. Looking for her first hit of this series. It could bring in a run. It's out to center. Minor gets a little giddy up behind it. The throw to the plate is late. Ole Miss does get the run home. That was an entertaining play. Minor with a strike to the plate. That was suspenseful.
But what a throw. I know that this is a run for Ole Miss, but look at her back up, get behind this fly ball, and then just power into it with a throw that is on the money. As she just barely got in there safely. Kai Minor, what an athlete. 2 home runs tonight, can make a throw like that, play great defense in center field. Woo!
That was a really impressive signing this past freshman class. Minor has been wonderful. You know, you're a freshman, you get thrown out to play center field for mighty Oklahoma, and she has handled it.
The call on the field was the runner at 3rd base left early. He left on time. That call is being challenged by Oklahoma.
Now that could throw a wrench into things here for Ole Miss. Well, if she did leave early, evidently it was the only way to beat Minor's throw.
Yeah, there's still a good amount of fans here at this game, by the way, for a 14-2, 14-1 game. A lot of fans in the stands still. Take a look at this tag up at 3rd base to see if she did leave early.
After further review, the call on the field has been confirmed. The runner did not leave early.
And so Ole Miss gets the run. Sacrifice fly for Pickens. Final out for Ole Miss to work with here. Percy Yamas walked in the opening inning, but then bounced out to second in the third.
Just somebody different doing it every night for Oklahoma. Last night, their 3 home runs. And then the 5 that they've hit tonight without even Abby Dayton out of the 9-hole. Kai Minor with 2 home runs. I mean, just think about it. It's not just Kendall Wells. It's not just Gabby Garcia or Cassidy Pickering. It's 1 through 9 in this lineup that can beat you, that can hit it out of the ballpark and run around the bases and score runs quickly.
$10-0 the win yesterday. And you see the lopsided score again today. 1-2 pitch on the way, down and out. Series finale tomorrow, 7 Eastern, 6 local time. It's another mic'd up Monday coming your way. Hard hit over to Agbayani, that'll do it. Oklahoma has won this series. They've won the first 2, and they go for the sweep tomorrow. It's their 25th run rule win of the season. That's 25 out of 31 now. And it's also 20 straight wins for the Sooners.
Yeah, 14 runs on 8 hits. And of course, 5 of those were home runs. Walks got Ole Miss into trouble, but for Ole Miss, they have to find a way to wake up their bats tomorrow to defend in a different type of way the Oklahoma offense, to be able to get some momentum and punch right back.
And that first pitch at 7 Eastern tomorrow. We will talk to you then. Oklahoma hits 5 homers. It's a 14-2 final score. That does it for us in Oxford. For Amanda Scarborough and the crew, I'm Kevin Fitzgerald saying good night from Oxford.